All right, good morning, third graders. Today I'm going to be reading you a story similar to the one we read last week about Dolores Huerta. And this is about a woman named Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who dedicated her life to fighting for people's rights, and especially the rights for women to vote. So, this too, like our last text, is a biography, meaning is a true story about someone's life. So, let me move my face out of the picture. Let me make it a little smaller. Put myself over here. I'm over here. All right. So here we go. Elizabeth leads the way. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the Right to Vote by Tanya Lee Stone. Illustrated by Rebecca Gibbon. So our essential question is, what do good citizens do? Read about how good citizen Elizabeth Cady Stanton fought for women's right to vote. So here we go. What would you do if someone told you you can't be what you want to be because you are a girl? What would you do if someone told you your vote doesn't count? Your voice doesn't matter because you are a girl. Would you ask why? Would you talk back? Would you fight for your rights? Elizabeth did. All of these things used to be true back when Elizabeth Cady was a girl. And all of these things might still be true today if Elizabeth hadn't led the way. She was only 4 years old the first time she heard someone, a woman, say life was better for boys. The woman had come to visit Elizabeth's new baby sister. What a pity it is she's a girl. How could anyone look at a little baby and feel sad? What could be wrong about being a girl? She was 13 years old when her father, Judge Cady, told a woman whose husband had died that the farm she had spent her whole life working on would be taken from her. Without a husband, the law stated nothing belonged to her. That sounds pretty unfair. Elizabeth was horrified by this unfairness. She said that the law should be cut out of every book. Judge Cady told her that wouldn't change anything. And here she is yelling, preposterous! The law was still the law, and only men were allowed to change laws. She decided right then and there that she could do anything any boy could do. She jumped over high hurdles on horseback. She rafted across a raging river. She won a prize for being the best in Greek studies. Her father was proud, but he worried about his strong-spirited, rule-breaking daughter. Ah, you should have been a boy! He knew how much easier her life would be. But Elizabeth wasn't interested in easy. At 16, since colleges would not let girls in, Elizabeth begged her father to send her to a girls' school to continue her learning. So, while most young ladies were getting married, washing dishes, doing laundry, and having babies, Elizabeth was studying religion, math, science, French, and writing. Several years later, Elizabeth Cady met Henry Stanton. He was an abolitionist, speaking out against slavery. So this word abolitionist is someone who fought against slavery. He understood how fair it was for people not to have rights or power. He did not laugh when Elizabeth talked about freedom. He did not laugh when Elizabeth said all people should be able to have life the way they chose. And he did not laugh when she told him she would add his name to her own, but she would not give up hers just to marry him. So Elizabeth Cady became Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and her babies cooked meals, washed dishes, mended clothes, and did laundries. Oh, and had babies, sorry. She loved her babies, but she did not love cooking and dishes and mending and laundry. This was not the life she wanted. One day, her friend, maybe Lucretia? Lucretia Mott invited her to a lunch. Lucretia had always shared Elizabeth's ideas about all the things women could do and would do if only they had the right. The other women at lunch shared them too. Elizabeth got fired up. Oh, yes. She proposed they hold a meeting. A meeting that would gather together lots and lots of women from all around to talk. But what would they talk about? There were so many things that needed to be set straight. I can move myself over so I can see. Married women couldn't own property or even the money they worked to earn. Elizabeth had learned long ago that only men could change the laws because only men could vote. That was it. That was the one thing that could change everything. If women could vote, they could help change all kinds of laws. This idea was so shocking, so huge, so daring. Elizabeth's friends gasped out loud. If they were flabbergasted, what would other people think? Elizabeth did not waver. She knew voting was the only way to make a difference. Her battle cry for the right to vote rang out. Have it, we must. Use it, we will. Even her Henry thought she had gone too far. Oop, don't need that. But on July 19th, 1848, when Elizabeth arrived at the meeting place, she saw for herself that she had. But on July 19th, 1848, when Elizabeth arrived at the meeting place, she saw for herself that she hadn't. The small church in Seneca Falls, New York, was filled with hundreds of people. Elizabeth read aloud what she and a few of the women had written together. Their Declaration of Rights and Sentiments challenged the idea from the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. When she was finished, she looked into the faces of the crowd and waited. The room was silent. Then a rumbling began. It grew louder and louder and louder as people argued whether or not women should be allowed to vote. Word of the meeting spread like wildfire. Newspapers across the country scolded Elizabeth for her boldness, but other women joined her in a battle. The idea of women having the right to vote began to buzz in the ears of people. From Maine, which is way over here, to California, way over here. Elizabeth had tossed a stone in the water, and the ripples grew wider and wider and wider. Many said Elizabeth must be stopped, but she was unstoppable. She changed America forever. I believe that is the end of our tale. Here we have about the author and illustrator. So here's our author, Tanya Lee Stone, likes to write fiction and nonfiction for children. Going to school and helping other people write children's stories helped her grow as a writer. Tanya has traveled around the world from Russia to Australia. She has written more than 90 books for young people. She especially likes to write stories about strong women and girls. And our illustrator, Rebecca Gibbon, loved picture books as a young girl. She dreamed of illustrating books one day. Today, she is the illustrator of several picture books. She illustrated Players in Pigtails, a true story of a baseball league for girls. She also illustrated a book of poems and a book about famous trees. She lives in London, England. So you too could become an author or an illustrator like Tanya Lee Stone, Rebecca Gibbon. And you too could fight for people's rights like Elizabeth Cady Stanton or Dolores Huerta. Okay, so with that, your task today, all I'd like you to do is reread this text. Find somebody in the house. I want you to practice reading with expression. Don't worry about answering any questions. We'll get to that tomorrow. But for today, I want you to take your time, look at the illustrations, the pictures, and take your time reading the story. All right, so with that, you'll find the link either on your dojo assignment or I'll have the story posted right below my YouTube video. All right, be talking to you soon.